Hello people, I'm Jaby Koay, joined by Skeeter Jones.
What upper?
We're going to talk about the movie THEERAN ADHIGAARAM ONDRU, also known as Koay, The Power of Police. Before we get into this at all, I want to just say at the outset, I know that a lot of you guys who have watched this movie already really liked it, you've loved it, and you want us to love it. So I want to say up front, this isn't going to be I love this movie, kind of review. We're gonna be very honest and talk about things we appreciated and didn't appreciate so much. So if you're looking for a review where we just give it nothing but love, you're at the wrong place. We're gonna be as honest as we can about all the things we enjoyed and didn't enjoy. I'm being as respectful as I can of, to all of you guys who really like the movie. I respect your opinions. I ask that you also respect ours. Please don't downvote. Okay. Just so you guys know, this is going to be a non-spoiler review for the most part, but I will let you know when we move into spoiler stuff. This is the one-liner from IMDb. THEERAN, a police officer, tries to decode a series of cold blood events based on same pattern. That's actually a very good summation of the film, because it is about a police officer who is trying to solve this big crime. He's trying to catch these killers who are relentlessly going after different innocent people to, I think, steal from them.
They steal from them, cut off their heads, cut their dogs.
It's pretty brutal. They called it gory murder cases in the film. There was a lot of exposition in the film, explanations that we couldn't actually read because the subtitles were pure white and the explanations came during scenes that were pure white. So
I'm like this.
Yeah, so there was a bit of stuff we may have missed, so that might have colored our review or our opinion of the film. I apologize for that. There's nothing we could have done about that. Essentially, this story starts out with THEERAN, who is a police officer, and he fell in love with this girl, and he's courting her by being her tutor for her studies. Right. Then eventually they get married and whatnot because the dad approves, and he goes into he does his police thing, and he's solving different crimes, and it turns out that he's the guy for the job. He's the guy you come in to solve the big crimes.
Right.
He's like the wolf in Pulp Fiction. He's the guy.
He's the man.
Yeah, he's the man. If he says he'll be there in 10 minutes, he's there in 9.
Right. Yeah.
He's that dude. This is like the biggest, most difficult crime he's ever come across.
Hold up, was this a true story?
Yes, it was based on a true story.
There we go.
Yeah, so this was the biggest, most challenging crime he ever came across, and it swallowed many years of his life in his effort to resolve it.
Yes.
How did you feel about Karthi?
I really liked him. I really liked him because of different reasons. One, he's not your typical, even though he's a handsome guy, but he's not the handsome guy with the ripped abs.
The super sculpted Chris Hemsworth type. Yeah.
Exactly. He wasn't that guy.
He looked more like your everyman.
Everyman, exactly. Yeah. The actress who I thought was very good.
Rakul Preet Singh, who played Priya.
All of them. Everybody in this was really good. The bad guys, the casting was spot on. From a casting point of view, all the way around to all the heroes, to the bad guys, everything was top notch.
Right, I agree with you about the bad guys in particular. I thought they had a very villainous look about them. They certainly looked intimidating. Just standing there, they had a very intimidating presence about them. And the guy who was smoking throughout. I thought that the voices of the villains were also really good. They just had a very threatening manner about them without even trying. I think that the main guy, like you said, he really brought that kind of hero presence forward while maintaining the appearance of the everyman. I appreciated that for sure. What we have for most of the movie is him chasing these villains, right? They set it up with showing him solving a few different crimes, but as an American, there was a few things that were confusing for me, and I think they were equally confusing for you, and you guys can, clear this up in the comments if you feel like it, but in the very first part of the film, Karthi or THEERAN was smacking his girl up. I was like, geez, he's smacking her a lot. And I know that some of you are gonna say that he's being playful and that she was taking it as a playful means, but she was hurt and looking upset, and but he's like, are you gonna be with me? She's like, no, and he smacked her. I was like, this is upsetting me. I know it's supposed to be funny, but it rubbed me the wrong way because I was raised never to hit a woman, you know?
That was surprising.
Right.
I could see the dad doing it because of the daughter, but the would-be husband or the school teacher or...
Right. Even after they got married, he was pinching her cheek really hard and biting her.
Once I got over that, I was cool with it. But at first, I was like, "What's going on here?"
I was never cool with it. It always like felt weird.
No, I got cool with it once. The pinching of the cheek, and even the little, he wasn't like decking her ass or anything. Shit. I mean, it was just a little bit of love taps here and there.
No,
but even there was, here in America, if you love tap, you're going to jail.
Right. It was confusing because he was smacking her up, and then in the next scene, he's like, "Come on, give me a back massage," and then she goes and gives him a back massage, and he opens up her book, and there's like pictures of him because she's fallen in love with him.
I think you've been a little hard there. It wasn't that, by that time in the movie, you got that, it's a playful thing, didn't you?
No, I didn't get that. But if you got it, cool. I'm glad you got that.
I got it.
Because like when he was demanding a back massage, I was like,
he wasn't demanding a back massage.
You guys tell me if he was demanding a back massage. It looked like he was going to threaten her by. It looked like he was threatening her
with bodily harm.
No, not bodily harm. He was threatening her by going and talking to her father.
Oh, okay.
If she didn't give him a back massage, and I'm like, this is the guy that she's falling in love with. This is a little confusing.
But I think it was the cat and mouse game.
Okay, sure. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, it just
all right.
It felt weird, but then it was.
Did.
But then that was further extended by the fact that he was like killing people. He was killing criminals as opposed to taking them in. And he explains his reasoning, and they even bring in they bring up the human rights discussion in the film.
I thought that was dope.
What's that?
That why he was doing it. Don't get me wrong. I don't. What is it? Capital punishment now or something like that.
Yeah.
But I thought his excuse, or not excuse, but why he was doing it.
Yeah, they justified it.
Exactly.
No, they certainly justified it, but without that explanation, it was a little weird for me.
Right.
Because he's just killing off criminals, and I'm like, okay. Until he gave his explanation, it felt strange because I didn't know the degree of their crimes. Mm-hmm. So without knowing if they stole a candy bar and he's shooting them up, that's obviously wrong. But he's talking about people who have raped and killed others, and I'm like, okay, now I get it. You're the Punisher. Now I understand.
Exactly, and that's what I got.
Yeah, but I feel like I needed that explanation at the outset. And in fact, I would have liked it if I don't know if they could have worked it in.
I don't think so.
But I would have liked it if there was like this line that you see him cross where he's like, this is the only way to do this, and you see him kind of go through that process.
Yeah, okay.
Because when the film starts, he's already there. He's already willing to take the lives of these murderers. One of the things you asked me earlier was, is this based on a true story? Which apparently it is. Now, to that, it didn't feel like how true stories normally are portrayed on film. It still felt like a larger-than-life action film. In that regard, it bothered me a little bit. I think I just wanted it to feel more documentary-like in the way that you'd see other true stories portrayed on film. I know that's, I guess, cliche, but this felt like super larger-than-life, especially like in one of the fight scenes, THEERAN throws the guy he's fighting into the air like he's got superpowers, and I'm like, well, I know that didn't happen in the real fight. Right. Obviously, you're gonna have artistic licensing. Liberties are gonna be taken to make it, fit the drama that the director, that the storytellers want to tell. But there's a certain degree beyond which my suspension of disbelief.
And I was just about to say, it's a movie.
No, I understand it's a movie.
But I see but being a true to life movie, is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. It's like it did certain things. It broke certain rules for me that I'm like, that you shouldn't really break when you're doing a story about something that has transpired in real life. That's what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
If it didn't have the caption at the end explaining these are real crimes and blah blah blah,
and the people went to jail, blah, blah, blah,
if it didn't have all that, I actually wouldn't have known that it was based on a true story because it didn't feel documentary-like. It didn't feel like we were following a timeline. It felt like an action film.
The movie itself, it had so many different. You're talking about the realism of it's supposed to be, but they had animation in this. They had the over-the-top stuff. So it was a lot of different
tones.
Exactly.
Tones,
a lot of different tones in this, and that's why once I knew that, I was okay. Mm-hmm. But every 5 minutes it was something different. So I was like, okay, this is the kind of thing it is. Right. Now, if they'd have thrown that at me at page 95, I'd have been like, yo, what's going on?
Right. No, right. They set it up early on that they were going to explore different tones and styles in the movie. For me, knowing that it was based on a true story, the animated aspects of it threw me off a little bit, or in retrospect, because watching it at the outset, I didn't know it was based on a true story. Looking back, I'm like, that is a little odd that they decided to have animated segments of the film. I thought it was cool when it was happening, but it doesn't seem fitting in a movie about a true life event or true events, rather, because it felt like Kill Bill, like when it was doing the animated stuff.
Exactly.
And it looked. Don't get me wrong. Like stylistically, it looked cool. I just didn't think that it really belonged in this story. You were saying how like this felt like they were doing a lot in this movie.
Do you not think that, or?
The thing is, I've become accustomed to it because the love story is always kind of wedged in there. I've become accustomed to there always having to be a love story for some reason. Even if I disagree with that, that's just kind of part of the cinematic culture.
Okay, I don't disagree. It was just a long, I mean,
A lot of it.
A lot of it.
Yeah, a lot of it.
And a 2:45 could have been a 2:15.
Sure. Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's true. I'm so accustomed to seeing love stories in Indian films that I've kind of just gotten used to it. I don't think about it as hard.
Right.
If I was to do it myself, I would have dialed that back. I would have given you just enough to give you an emotional hook.
Exactly.
But not anything more than that. Because like they give you the first 20 minutes of the film, it seemed like was just him spending time with this woman, and I'm like, how did he have time for a job if he's spending all this time tutoring this girl? It was a little strange.
But that's what I mean by they didn't have to do that. That first 20 minutes, it could have been started with he was just in love with her and from the marriage point.
Right. On the positive side, though, even though the film was long, what I liked about the movie is that I really felt like I was kind of going through this long process with the main character. It's like I was getting frustrated for him. I felt like I was kind of experiencing it with him because the film really dove into his adventure. I say adventure loosely, his journey to catch these criminals. Like that, like you felt that emotionally.
Wholeheartedly. I think because the depths he went through to understand their mental. He read about the history, he read about everything, so he got on their level, which I enjoyed thoroughly.
You're a director. I mean, you're also an actor, but you're like your true passion is directing.
Right.
So I'm really curious to hear how you felt about the directing, the DP, the angles, and the fight scenes and whatnot, the action.
Loved it. Just the locations, just how the angles. The action was a little bit. I could have done without that. You know, and what I mean by done without that, the look of it. I think quicker cuts because I don't think any of them were really good. You know,
fighters
to hide that. Quicker cuts, stuff like that. But everything else was top notch to me. I mean, for how many locations they had. And I was asking you, I mean, a film like that over here is going to cost how much versus a film like that over there?
Right. Over here, that film probably would have cost at least $75 million.
And over there, what?
I'm guessing that cost around 10 to 20 at the most.
It amazed me. It amazed me because they packed all that in to 245, and I mean it was locations. It was how many people they had speaking parts and this and that. And is that the norm in Indian movies?
The last South Indian action film I saw didn't have as many locations, but it had as many people. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was Vikram Vedha. I think is the last one I saw, and it certainly had a lot of people in it.
It was great. I mean, it was great. The only thing is that the action I would have done a little bit different. It's not that it was bad, not that it was good. It was just I would have done a little bit different.
I'm constantly looking at that. That's one of the things that I like to learn from is what someone's eye is like, how they frame it, where they put the subject in the camera, just the overall aesthetic of it, and then of course the action. And I noticed here that the fight scenes in general were more on the realistic side. Every now and then they got carried away and people were flying.
But that's what I mean.
Yeah. But that kind of stuff bothered me. I wanted it to stay grounded and real. The final fight scene in the film, which I won't disclose too much information about, I liked most of it. I enjoyed most of it, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in the spoiler part of this. But when it got fantastical, then it bothered me. Overall, I thought the direction was fine. They had some cool camera angles in there. There was one dramatic point where someone loses someone and looks up and goes, "No!" And I'm like, why are you doing that, man?
No, that's a part of filmmaking right there. Everybody wants that drone shot.
No one does that in real life. No one does it in real life. That's what bothers me.
But it's not real life. That's just it. It's a movie.
But it's based on something real. And I try to imagine like what that person actually went through in that moment. I'm like, there's no way he looked up at the sky and cried like that. I'm pretty sure it was more of a quiet moment. And I think that's what I was looking for, was more quiet moments throughout the film, where more like kind of
internal.
Internal. I wanted to see people deliberating, I wanted to see more expression as opposed to exposition. I wanted to see moments where people were pensive and you saw their struggle, because I feel like that speaks volumes way more than a bunch of words about someone's situation, where you can just see what they're going through as opposed to them telling you what they're going through. And I feel like this film could have really benefited from more of that. It had a lot of great moments, and you didn't lose sight, or you weren't confused about the drama or where people were emotionally, what their emotional state was. But I still would have appreciated a lot more pensive moments, because this is based on a true story, and I'm pretty sure that in reality, the guy had moments where he was just struggling and wanted to give up, and I wanted to see him come close to giving up, because like he kind of expressed it, right? He said he might give up, but you didn't feel like he ever came within an inch of that, and I wanted to feel that. I really, really enjoyed the music, and I find that I really appreciate the composition, the original score of movies from South India, like at least the ones I've seen so far. I tend to enjoy the score. It just like, it was really inspiring, and it's the kind of soundtrack that I would probably pick up and listen to independent of the film. I think it was really well done.
I really enjoyed that segment where at the outside, the girl dancing.
The item number, that's what it's called. They're called the item numbers.
Okay, see, that to me, I was like, yo.
Yeah.
And you're talking about camera angles, you're talking about, stylistic.
Yeah.
That was dope.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
You know what I'm saying? I think that was some of the best parts of it.
Yeah, that was kind of a very late item number. Usually it's in the middle of the movie, but they threw that like on towards the beginning of the third act, which is kind of random. But for an item number, I enjoyed it. I don't give a shit about item numbers, but that one I actually enjoyed. I thought they did a really good job, and the way she sang, I don't know if it was her actual voice, but the way she sang, the way she was dancing, the camera angles, the movement, I thought was really cool.
Because they told a story in that. That's my whole thing. So when they told a story in her movement, the singing and this and that, I was like, yo, I dig that.
Having thought about it, that was the only point in the movie where someone was actually singing on camera that I can recall. I don't think there was any other musical, like overtly musical moments where people were singing on camera. That was the only one. And I think that's kind of why it took me by surprise initially. Let's dive into... The first thing I want to talk about is the girl. You were talking about how there was so much of that love story, and the reason why is because they needed to set up that she was going to get killed, basically, or they needed to hook you emotionally so that you felt it when she got killed.
Yeah, that was a big spoiler.
Yeah,
you had to say killed, brother.
No, I'm talking
something
about spoilers.
happened to her.
We're talking about spoilers now.
I know, but it's still,
still
something happened to her.
Yeah, so she gets murdered. Really hard. I don't know if I felt the impact of her getting murdered.
No, not at all.
And I don't know why that is. I'm trying to figure out why right now, why. And I think it's because the way that she was portrayed, it felt artificial to a degree, the way she was portrayed. She didn't feel like a real person. I didn't really understand why they loved each other.
But that's what I mean at the beginning, if they would have set that up, or don't show us that.
Yeah.
Just show us already in the process.
Yeah.
And then let my imagination say, oh, they must have been in love because of this.
Right. There were some moments after she died, though, that I felt more connection with, when he was reflecting and thinking about her and how much he missed her. That actually touched me way more for some reason than when she actually died and when she was around at all.
Yes.
I don't know why.
Yes.
I think because I can empathize and sympathize with someone dealing with loss. That I find I can identify with. I mean, I can identify with the other stuff, but just the way they did it, the way it was executed, it didn't impact me the way the film wanted it to.
Yeah.
Now, this is coming from two people who will willingly cry while watching a movie.
A commercial, I'm like,
yeah, I watched Coco earlier today, and I was crying in the theater, and I was trying to man up, and it just wasn't happening. So I am not opposed to crying during a film. This movie didn't make me cry in that moment, and I think it really wanted me to.
You know why? It's because we knew what was coming.
Sure.
See, and that was my thing.
Sure. I think that the way it was set up was kind of cool. Like, it was this epic climactic battle between him and the leader of this gang.
Good versus bad.
And it was a great setup. And then when the fight was happening, it felt more real, and I liked the exchanges they were having. But then he tossed him into the air like a rag doll, and I'm like, okay, wait, no, you just broke my suspension of disbelief. And then the dude pulled out a knife, and he disarmed the knife. The hero disarmed the knife within 2 seconds. And I'm like, it would have been cool if that...
Stab here.
Yeah, stab here, or if that extended the fight further by another minute or two of him trying to...
You already gave us 245, 250 with it.
Exactly. Yeah, another couple minutes there would have been cool, of intricate choreography of some kind, or realistic choreography of where he's trying to disarm the knife with close quarter combat. but it didn't
Yes.
happen. He just dropped the knife within seconds. I'm like, well, there was almost no point to that because he disarmed him so quickly. You may as well have not had that in there.
That last final battle was almost anticlimactic.
A little bit.
Because we went on this long journey,
Right.
and then that was it?
Right. But what I did like was when he was choking him from behind, all not Krav Maga, but Gracie Jiu-Jitsu style, like he was about to choke him out. He's like reaching, trying to find a rock, found the rock, and then he smacked him with it.
No. He didn't smack him with it. Where'd he hit him?
Oh, he hit his leg. He hit his leg. That's right.
Leg.
Yeah,
Then he
yeah.
had to-
I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was smart.
Yeah, because I wasn't expecting it. I'm like, what is he reaching for? I had no idea what he was doing.
He was. You can tell he was. His life was in stake.
Right.
And he's anything.
Right.
He found that rock and went to town on his leg.
Right. Now, one thing that I've experienced a lot during epic Indian action films is a lack of fear for my main character, what I call the John McClane effect, where I'm afraid of what's going to happen to my main character. Here, I was actually afraid of what was going to happen to him. I thought for a second that maybe he might die.
Yes.
Like, because he was on the verge of getting choked out. I'm like, there's no way he's going to make it. And so for a split second, it had fooled me, and that was good. I'm glad it did. I just didn't like the way they handled him losing his wife, because it seemed like just another day. It didn't feel like he had any remorse, and I wanted to see a moment of remorse from him, where he thinks and regrets like what he could have done differently to save her, what he could have done differently when she was dying. Like, I didn't sense any of that from him. It seemed like he just kind of accepted that she died. There's her picture, her memorial picture.
Oh, you're talking about it again.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, well, cool. I'm at my desk and I'm cool. Like, I didn't get a sense of loss in that regard.
At the end.
Yeah.
Throughout the film, the flashbacks.
Sure.
I liked the little bit of flashbacks that kept him going.
Yeah.
And then remember, it was that a fork in the road where he goes home to see her one last time, or he keeps on chasing this guy.
Right.
And I wish it was more, you were saying
Tension.
earlier, exactly.
Yeah, more internal conflict.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I didn't get that. It seemed like he made up his mind like, nope, gonna go this way. Thanks. I'll see you later.
Coming to get you.
See you later, Betty. You know,
coming to get you.
You're knocked out any fucking how.
Hey, you've been asleep for what?
Exactly.
18 months.
Yeah, you're gonna be fine. I'll get to you when I get to you. I wanted to see a little bit more conflict there, a little bit more struggle, and it would have been nice if, like, I don't know. So I needed to see I wanted to see more of the impetus for why he went that path. Like, maybe he gives up on his effort to catch the bad guy. It's too hard, it's taking too long, and now he's losing his woman. Like, maybe he decides, maybe I gotta go be with my girl, she's about to die.
Like that.
But something kicks him back the other direction. It's a movie anyhow. Maybe she wakes up for a second and says, no, get his ass, kill his ass. And then he goes, like, it's just, who cares? You're having him throw people through the air like that. Just make that up too. Like, just... I needed some kind of impetus for him to go on that path. All this being said, it was a good movie, but it's flawed. That's how I felt about it.
But put it this way, I was thoroughly entertained, enjoyed that he paid for it and I went, loved it.
But seriously, there was like good things to take away from this. I hope it doesn't sound like we were just hating on this movie. Like, I actually genuinely enjoyed it.
Yeah, once again, you're giving your opinion, good and bad.
Right. In summary, I think that there's a lot of great things to take away from this film. Absolutely. I didn't hate it. I actually liked it and I enjoyed it. There was a lot that I appreciated from it.
Yes.
And I know for you, this wouldn't apply so much, but for me, having seen a number of South Indian movies now, I actually appreciated how it was different from a lot of South Indian films I've seen. It decided to do something that was more linear, more focused on this adventure, and while there was some fluff in there, it felt like it was really narrow focused on really having you experience what this guy went through.
Gotcha.
And I appreciated that aspect of it because I felt that frustration that he was feeling. I felt the loss he felt. I think that what they had here was a good idea, a really good idea, and I just wanted more from that. Yeah, that's how I felt. I liked it. I liked it, and I would recommend it. And I think that it was a decent film. Yeah. So, thanks for hanging out with us. Please check out Skeeter Jones on the social media. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out our other reactions, reviews, and short films. I'm Jaby Koay. This is
Skeeter Jones.
Peace out.